This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Once again on Untold Valor, another great edition of the program coming to you as we talk with, families and military servicemen and women and the different walks of life that they've gone through and then what they're going on in their lives now. And, as we've come out of the holiday season into the new year, we're excited to get back into the groove with some new content and some great new guests like Matt Cahill, who's joining us here on this episode of the podcast, founder of Green Star Families of America. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for being here with us. Looking forward to talking with you, learning more about you and the organization. And, of course, Reverend Ben is here. Reverend Ben, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, guys.
Good to have you guys here, and Happy New Year to you. This is the new year that we are dropping this podcast. So I'll steal from Chris Berman on ESPN. May I be the first to wish you a Happy New Year. But, Matt, tell us a little bit about you and your time in service and just give us some background on you.
Geez. So
where to start, right?
Exactly. So growing up, I was the oldest of six. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and the only advice he gave me when I was looking at joining the service was to go in with something that I could get out with.
Okay.
He was an infantryman and my mom was a nurse. And I realized, my mom was making a lot more money than he was as a mechanic now on the outside world. So I was like, all right, well, let me go in as a medic. So I did research and everything, and that did entice me. So 1 week after I graduated high school, I left and joined the active duty Army. I joined for 4 years. I did 1 year in Korea and then the rest with the 101st Airborne in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And when it came time to re-enlist, Pennsylvania's National Guard was offering 100% college tuition for free. And I wanted to do physician assistant so that I could, get out of the military, join the National Guard, do PA school, and then come back into the military, hopefully. So in 1997, I'm sorry, I should have started out with that. I graduated in 1993 and served till 1997. And I got out and came back to Pennsylvania and started going to school to meet the prerequisites for Hahnemann at the time, university's physician assistant program. And I wound up getting in, and then 9/11 happened like my very first day.
Oh, wow.
So we were in anatomy and physiology in the auditorium, and we could hear the TV in the break room, going crazy with stuff. And we got a break. So we walked out and saw that an airplane had hit one tower, and we're like, it could have been a mistake, what kind of airplane it was. Nobody really knew. So the break was over. We went back in, and then we heard a total eruption, and it was more from not just the break room, but outside the city building. It was in Center City, Philadelphia. And that just went crazy. Traffic was nuts.
Wow.
SEPTA had put on extra transit and get everybody out of the city. And my sister actually worked at Wyndham Hotel, which was a couple blocks over from Hahnemann. So the special forces guy that was in PA school with me, both of us had traveled down from Upper Darby using public transportation. And we were both like, we're not getting on any public transportation. So we waited for my sister to get done working. And she was dealing with, clients from the hotel that were trying to fly out, as well as those that were stuck on the ground, coming in and that kind of thing. So,
wow, what a first day, huh?
Hell yeah. We didn't wind up getting out of there till like 7 or 8 at night. But anyway, life did change a little bit later on. 2004 is when I got my first mobilization orders. I was mobilized from my National Guard unit to go with the 110th Infantry and spent 6 months in Camp Shelby, Mississippi, training up, only to be told on the last day that I wasn't medically cleared to go. So I had to refrad back to my unit. When I refratted back, refrat is release from active duty. I needed to get a surgery. So I went and got the surgery and deployed again. Well, was ready to deploy and deployed in 2006 to 2007. We were 4 medics replacing 18 active duty medics on the FOB that we were going to. One of them was my sister in the same medical platoon with me.
Oh, wow.
That was fun.
I imagine endless ribbing and stories there for sure. I bet. So.
Oh, definitely. But when you really think about it, it's kind of like, what happens if something happens to me or her,
Yeah,
how
that
do
would
we,
be tough.
yeah. But we had a great crew. This was the National Guard unit that I had been with for 12 years plus, and my sister had been part of for many years. So all the medics chose to deploy. We didn't have to deploy. I believe my sister and my NCOIC, Chuck, had extended to be able to deploy with the unit and everything. So
Gotcha.
luckily, we had a pretty quiet deployment. We did have one KIA, but we couldn't determine whether or not the vehicle hit just an old armor pressure mine or if it was actually, an attempt to like an attack on us type of thing. So we got done that deployment to be sitting in Kuwait to fly back to the United States when we found out that my mom had passed. So that was pretty rough. Sitting on a flight knowing that, we coming back to a funeral. And when we landed, my readiness NCO was great. He had a van come out to the tarmac and take my sister and I right off the airplane and drove us to our parents' house so we could go pick out a casket.
Wow, that is a rough go for sure. So I'm reading through your topic of discussion and your summary here. So you spent 26 years as an Army medic, and really what stuck out at me is talking about leaving the military, the mental weight, physical damage, medication control, and 8 major surgeries. Just had some anger, right, and going on, and kind of wondering what to do. And I guess we'll use that as that transition, right? That's when you decided to start the Green Star mission.
Roger. So when my plan was when I retired in 2019 to do equine assisted therapy with veterans, I had found a mentor in the equine world and started attending Widener University to obtain my master's in social work so that I could get licensed and be a therapist in both the civilian world and the equine world. So I started veteran equine therapy specialists here in South Jersey. And, through fundraising and donors, we've been able to provide equine assisted therapy to veterans. In 2020, my cousin Wes, who's a military veteran and a really good longtime friend of mine, Andy, all the way back to the 101st, they both died by suicide as well. And that just really sent me spiraling. I was very frustrated. I angry. I felt that there should be some sort of recognition or some sort of organization like Gold Star to help these families through this time, as well as provide any therapy or anything that would help them heal appropriately from these traumas.
Right.
And when I started out on my search, I really thought I was going to find an organization that had already started, this type of process. And when there was none that I found, I talked with some friends of mine and some other veterans, and we all agreed that there should be this type of organization. How we settled on the Green Star, it's actually a Kelly Green Star. It's for the international color for mental health. And the reason why we settled for that is because we didn't want a specific diagnosis like PTSD or even suicide that has 2 colors. I believe it's teal and purple, as a star wouldn't be approved through the Institute of Heraldry, is who we were mainly looking at when designing this star so that it would fit appropriately with the Blue Star and the Gold Star that are both federally recognized and approved. So we started this in 2020, and we found a representative here in New Jersey, a congressman, Van Drew, who proposed the first bill for that Congress. That bill went nowhere. And then we did a second bill later on in Biden's administration with the second Congress, and that went nowhere until this year, 2025, when we were able to find a representative who was willing to champion the bill. And what we've found that championing actually means is that they will do more than just introduce the bill. They'll push for it, they'll lobby for it, and hopefully get it approved.
That's great. Yeah.
The law, yeah.
Yeah.
So this year, Rob Bresnahan was that champion. And later in June, I want to say, in 2025, another veteran took his own life, which is who this bill is named after. But he worked for Representative Madeline Dean, and she was instantly agreeable to co-signing onto the bill. So the bill was introduced this year bipartisanly, one Democrat, one Republican, and it's already got another co-signer from California on there. So we're really hoping that this is the Congress that's going to get the Green Star bill passed to recognize these families.
With the Green Star recognition, what comes with that?
Right now, nothing. we would want to do this the right way. So we want the banner to be recognized, and then we will start to put benefits that we believe are appropriate up under that. And what I mean by that is, so Gold Star, if you take their benefits, they provide dependents with education benefits, healthcare benefits, and a $500,000 payout. We don't believe that those are appropriate because that could be a reason for a veteran to choose suicide. So what we're more interested in doing is, one, definitely making sure that the family has behavioral health readily available to them so that they can, get therapy and heal more appropriately, and whatever other benefits that we will discuss and be able to justify putting under this banner is what our future holds for us. But as of right now, we're just asking for the government at no cost, with no associated fees for, producing the banner or anything like that, just to recognize this as the emblem that these families would be identified as. From there, we will make, through donations, the service banners and come up with a way to distribute them to these families that are identified.
Gotcha. So some of the, I guess, core staples that you're looking to do, right, is you're talking courage and perseverance, right, recovery. The line here I thought stuck out at me was, it said, let's talk about, fixing military mental health. It doesn't just save veterans, it advances civilian medicine. Talk about that a little bit.
So being a medic and learning, I would say, the old style of medicine, when I first went through AIT in 93 to when we were deploying, medicine had changed drastically down on the line, that the medic could exercise on a casualty, on a patient. Before, it was, just a bandage and pretty much don't use a tourniquet unless there's absolute loss of limb, that type of thing, to when we were getting ready to go to the two wars for 20 years that we were in, Iraq and Afghanistan. There was a study done by AMED, AMEDD, the American Medical Education Department of Defense, I believe. They took a study from Vietnam for the top 3 battlefield killers, and then they made it so that medics in the front line could apply certain techniques or bandages or procedures to be able to keep people alive that had taken the lives of the 3 largest wounds in Vietnam. And that, I really believe, spoke highly towards how a little bit of studying and application can lead to saving more lives. If there was a focus on mental health like there was on physical health, then we would be able to find ways to be able to be the strongest military on the face of the earth, with being able to survive after battles rather than just during the battles.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ben, as a medic as well, I'm sure this is kind of speaking to you.
I can resonate with that field medical experience, Matt, as being a corpsman with the Marines, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines. So I can definitely resonate on what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. And that's just the theory. I mean, I do believe that the advancements that were made from a physical standpoint for injuries, if we're able to analyze and figure out the mental health portion of it, if we can apply first line treatment to that, then we may be able to save a lot more, not only veterans, but civilians as well, that may be going through a mental crisis or having some sort of urgent need to be able to speak with somebody. And I always did find that interesting. It's like, as soon as someone says, hey, I'm thinking of harming myself, everybody, it seems, just shuts down, like, oh, I can't talk to this person because I'm not a doctor, or I don't have this high degree.
That's a great point. People they don't know how to react, right? That you want to help sometimes, but sometimes you're not sure if you're going to say or do the wrong thing and make it worse.
Yep. It's almost like we lost our basic humanity of just saying, well, why? Tell me about it. You know what I mean?
Right. Just talk to me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's one of a lot of the people we have on the show here, Matt, like yourself, that they're really getting that message out. And Voice and Vision does that, CompureCore does that. I think a lot of places are trying to just say, hey, look, let's just talk. Let's just spend some time together, right? Sometimes that goes a long way.
It does. And what I find interesting is, especially like when I graduated with my MSW and I was looking at becoming credentialed and state certified and all that, all of a sudden that's when the rules really come in where, hey, we're not really supposed to, be human like that. Or, hey, we're only supposed to, talk to clients between business hours and not when the demons call it like, 2 a.m. or something like that. Unless you went into like crisis response or something like, a job like that, it was kind of frowned upon that you would buck the system as far as how the professionals stated it should be done. It's like, well, if that was working, then I think I'd adhere to that. But since it's not, I don't want to go for my licensure, So I think that the whole mental health realm needs to be revamped and rethought and basically rediscovered with fresh new eyes.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting that as well. Is there something that people can do if they're checking out this episode? They want to kind of help with your mission or with trying to get things done. Any suggestions or anything that we can, put out there? Any links or anything we can throw into the show, or things that we can just kind of help people move that effort forward?
Definitely with Green Star Families of America. If you want to, come and visit our webpage, it's greenstarfamilies.org.
Okay. We'll put a link in the show notes. Okay.
Yeah. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok even. I'm still learning how to use all of them.
Aren't we all?
But there's other organizations that are out there that think differently as well. Just make sure you research it and it's not too far outside the box.
Gotcha.
But, if you're more along the lines of you believe that psychedelics can help or other types of treatment and therapy, then, please get involved and have a say. I do think back to, the history that I've learned about medicine that seems to have been around since, the Romans, if you will. But mental health really didn't even come to the United States until like the 1960s. And it wasn't until the 1980s that the VA finally gave a diagnosis of PTSD to battlefield types of scenarios with mental health issues.
Man, I wanted to kind of back up for a minute. When you were telling your early part of your story, you were talking about some equestrian program that you guys had in South Jersey. Does that program still exist?
Yes, it does. I'm not hands-on there anymore, but I still raise the funds, and I'd eventually like to get back to doing that. But right now, yes, it is still operational, and I have another organization's 2 therapists that are working with the veterans, and we've just expanded it to veterans' families who have suffered the loss of their veteran to suicide. So
I know moving forward, of course, after the podcast, I want to speak with you more about that program because I would like to go visit the site and examine the program and take part in that.
Well, at the end of the day, there's a ton of great resources out there, right? You just have to start, mobilizing and taking some of those. And so, Matt, I know we're kind of up against the time this week, but we thank you so much for being here. I always kind of end things off by saying any message or final thought you'd like to share for people listening who, maybe found themselves in a bit of a struggle on their own, right?
Yeah, honestly, no matter what you're going through, evaluate. And if you don't have a mission, find one.
That's a great point.
It's that simple. I mean, if you're just working 9 to 5 and supplying your family or whatever, and it's humdrum and boring, or, it's got you in a rut, find a deeper mission, a bigger mission, and join it and fight for it.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for your time. Matt Cahill, founder of Green Star Families of America. We'll put links in the show description so you can go check out some of the links he was talking about and offer some support or get involved. We appreciate you so much here on the podcast. This has been Untold Valor Veterans Recovery in Action, and we certainly appreciate your time. We'll see you on the next episode. You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988. We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery. And if you want to share your story, please contact us. Compeer Corps is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about Compeer Corps, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.